Hey everybody, it's that time. It's just about 10:30 and time for Nightcap. You and I together, got yours, got mine. Got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. It was a busy weekend. There were so many things going on. And then came Sunday night and Monday. Yeah. And finally, it's kind of calmed down. Thank goodness for that. Friday on the radio, I don't know if you caught it. If not, I think you can catch it up on demand on my Facebook page. Friday afternoon, we had an interview with Ed Vogle. Ed Vogle is the guy who's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, who started out in Tulsa, hauled his special car because he wanted to make a Route 66 trip. Ed was driving a 1926 Huppmobile. That's Hupp with two P's, Huppmobile. Had it hauled up to Chicago and right up there on Wacker Drive at the start of Route 66 before they unceremoniously moved it out to Navy Pier just to draw more people. But it actually did not start there in 1926. It started literally downtown. If there is such thing as a downtown Chicago, there's a loop. But anyway, Ed had the car hauled up there, and then they started making their way down with the goal of making Springfield, Missouri by April 30th. I believe that was the goal. That was the day. I'm pretty sure they're going to make it. Yeah, because April 30th, there's going to be a big celebration in Springfield, Missouri, and it's all about the naming, the committee that met, and the naming of Route 66. The road was, called the Mother Road, and, it was kind of there. But when they actually wanted to make it official and basically make it notarized by the federal government, then it became Route 66, which is really a cool thing. Also, wanted to point out to you that Ed came in, he kind of limped into Litchfield because they'd had some radiator issues, carburetor issues as well. But as it worked out, he got a chance to go to the Route 66 Museum, had lunch at the Ariston, had to have breakfast at the U-Belts the next morning. Did drive up and see the drive-in, didn't go to the drive-in, but at least went by it. And also saw a few other things close by. So I know as they went south and head on down to Soulsby's there and Mount Olive and Point South, I think Ed got into St. Louis and is in good shape. One of the interesting things about it, when he was in Chicago, he was interviewed by CBS News, and I got a text from my son Ted in Buffalo. It says, "Dad, I just saw this guy on the news, from Chicago driving this old car on 66. And I had to tell him, yes, of course, I knew who it was. And he was on the radio with me that afternoon. Or 2 days later in the afternoon. So anyway, Ed's on his way, and I hope he's having a safe trip these days as he makes his way in the next 2 days to Springfield, Missouri. It's going to be a big party there, of course, tons and tons of antique cars. I doubt if any of them are in maybe as good a shape as that 1926 Huppmobile is, or maybe they all will be. But I know they're having a big party to celebrate the signing and sending the telegram to notify the officials in Washington that the designation would be Route 66. I think that occurred around 5:30 in the afternoon on April 30th, 1926. And then that night, they're having a big Roaring Twenties bash, big gala ball, and everybody in their 1920s tuxedo and flapper dresses. And I'm sure there's a pretty good swing band going. So that sounds like a lot of fun. So that's happening on April 30th in Springfield. And I think it's also going to be on Good Morning America that day. Or I'm sorry, pardon me, the Today Show. They're all competition there. It's going to be a live nationwide telecast by the Today Show's third hour. starting at 8 a.m. So that'll be interesting. So that's that. Hi to everybody who's watching. Hi, Betty. Hi, Randy. And hi, Denise. Nice to see you all. And more of you, no doubt, will be joining. And hopefully you will. We got a lot to talk about tonight. So that was Friday afternoon, having the interview with Ed. And, of course, the weather today has knocked out a lot of things. I know some kids were getting out of school early. Also, a lot of cancellations. Jim didn't get to do a book signing over at the Route 66 barbecue place there in Carlinville. No bingo at the VFW tonight. Of course, no reason for me to say these things now, other than the fact that if you said, darn it, I missed it, no, you never. Also, Friday night, after a lot of promotion and talking about it, I did karaoke, hosted karaoke at the Passport Lounge. Just like in the old days, pardon me while I move stuff around here. In the old days when we would do Passport to Stardom at the Passport Lounge, remember this guy, Mike Heisman, that was you, back on the State Journal Register. When they did a nice story about us back in April of 2003. So yeah, we had that, and who else did we have? People dancing, and I think we had a picture of, let's see, Dawn and, yes, of course, here, might as well show you some more. There's Dawn and, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Kelly. Kelly Heisman there. So anyway, this is what we used to do. Big crowds would show up, as you well know, and I've always saved that because, well, it's a bit of history. So I thought we would kind of maybe try and reproduce that. We can't do it on the radio anymore, but we could do it live on the internet. And you know, the amazing thing is we promoted it, and I think maybe more people stayed home and watched it than came out to sing. So I have to work on that. But there were a lot of people who stayed home and watched it. It was okay. I have to admit, I was a little disappointed. I thought we'd have had a bigger crowd. I would have thought it would have been a bigger crowd for Yojo. But on the other hand, it was the first time. And I guess that means if we do it again, it should be a little bit better. I mean, as you know, the first night we did this nightcap, I think we only had maybe a couple hundred people who saw it between live and the next day or two. And of course, the last few, it's been over 1,000. So that makes me feel good. I think the biggest numbers we've had have been maybe about 1,400. So we'll see if we can build that up. Saturday night, we did karaoke at the Eagles and always have a good time there. So for those of you folks who come to the Eagles, and we'll do it again this Saturday, we always do karaoke the first and last Saturday of the month. So last Saturday and then the first. So that'll be coming up this weekend, May the 2nd. Maybe if your horse doesn't win in the Kentucky Derby Saturday afternoon, you can drown your sorrows with us up at the Eagles. And also, big news out of, well, Carlinville and Canton, Missouri, and a pretty good football player who played for Carlinville High School and then went on to Culver Stockton and became an NAIA All-American. He was All-State in Carlinville. He was All-American for NAIA coaches at Culver Stockton. His name's Kyle Dixon. Kyle Dixon was an undrafted free agent. They thought he might have got picked in the NFL draft. He didn't. But guess what? Right afterwards, the Patriots signed him. And, you know, I would say there are worse places to be signed than the Boston Patriots or the New England Patriots. Even though they're the Buffalo Bills' arch enemy and they're my favorite team, the Bills, Can't go wrong with getting signed by somebody with that kind of legacy. Now, why is an undrafted free agent signing kind of important? Well, let's look at it like this. You say, okay, they went through all these rounds of the NFL draft and 280 some players, and you didn't get picked. But that happened also to Kurt Warner and Warren Moon and Antonio Gates. All of them were undrafted free agents, and all of them went to the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton. So, can't beat that, huh? What's Randy telling me? Oh, I got to be nice, he said. Okay. Hi, Herb. How are you? Nice to see you. Oh, by the way, thanks. Congratulations. You got the hotel sold out, but I know there's others down there. Coming up, Herb, our good friend Herb Simmons, has got a big wrestling weekend. I don't know how to describe it other than a tremendous exposition. I've got 70, 80 people coming in, Herb. That's just amazing what you've been able to put together year after year down there. And, of course, you know, we always say carry on Sam Muchnick's legacy. But, Herb, I think you're building quite a legacy of your own. So congratulations for, again, another great weekend coming up. And I am going to make it, I think, one afternoon for a little while. That's coming up. And I'm going to do my darndest, and I'll search you out to make sure you know I was there. Also, we've talked about football. Interesting thing, I saw a pretty good movie. I don't know if you have ever seen it, but back in 2019, there was a movie called Ready or Not. And Ready or Not was a campy horror movie, basically, we can say. It was about a girl who married this guy, and the guy was the heir apparent to a very rich family that made their money by creating games. And the tradition was when someone in the family got married, that night they would all get together and play a game. And so the girl, who was played by Samara Weaving, a terrific gal, Samara pulled a card out of the deck of cards, and the game to be played, well, the game to be played was hide and seek. Well, here they're in this big mansion. Herb, I will. I'll see you on May the 8th. A big mansion, and she has to go hide and play and stay alive until dawn. And then she's welcomed in the family, and everything's going to be great. So you'd think, well, okay, all I got to do is survive the night. And it's a little harder to do if everybody in the family's role in the game is to try and kill you. And in the offering of this wonderful game, she winds up killing all of them, burning the place down just about, and it ends that way with her out on the front porch watching the fire and surviving the night. Well, Ready or Not, Here I Come 2, or actually Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. In this particular case, it opens up with her sitting out on the steps like the way she was at the end of the first one. And there's more. There are other families who compete for the riches of this gaming family because they're all devil worshippers. Oh boy. That wasn't really touched on a whole lot in the first movie, but it's underlying in this one. But some cool people in it: Sarah Michelle Gellar, and of course Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton, and Elijah Wood plays a lawyer. He kind of runs the show of this hide and seek game because it's another hide and seek game, and it's quite fun. Now, here's the deal. It is a fun movie. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of campy humor. And it's so funny, it's creepy, and it's so creepy, it's funny. I guess you could say it like that. But here's the thing. It's at the West Side in Litchfield, and I saw it Sunday afternoon, and there weren't too many people there. Of course, it was a nice day. Michael was hitting it real strong, of course, in one of the other theaters, one of the other auditoriums there. The West Side's got 4. And anyway, I was talking to Steve today when he knew I was going to do the review, and he texted me this afternoon while I was on the air and said, John, he said, call me before you do the review. So I did, and he said, here's what I would like you to do. Announce that we're going to be closed tonight because of this bad weather. And we did have bad weather. There's no doubt about it. So I announced that the West Side was closed this evening. Tomorrow at the West Side, the tickets are $5, bargain day. All shows, $5, all seats, all movies, all times. So that's a good day. But he said, would you mention that on Wednesday, it's going to be the last day for Ready or Not. And I would like to say in honor of me liking it so much, but I don't think it has anything to do with it. On Wednesday, the movie's going to be free. Yes, you heard me. So 4:30 or 7 o'clock, if you want to go see Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, walk in. Walk in, get your popcorn, get your soda, take advantage of the great prices on concessions, and, sit down and get ready to be entertained, have a chuckle, have a scare on Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Wednesday, no charge, 4:30 or 7. Okay, excited about that. Now, Sean Balint, what am I going to do with Sean? Sean is so busy between doing the local news and the Macoupin County news and a little baseball and softball that it's hard for me to know where he is when it's time for him to come on with me. Sometimes he's on the road driving, sometimes he's at home, sometimes he's in the studio in Carlinville, and I know we go back and forth a little bit, and it's a little difficult. But, he's a trooper, and he does get the job done. But hopefully we'll be able to figure out ahead of time so he can let me know what to expect. But I could also say there were times when, like him, I didn't even know what to expect. He didn't even know what to expect. So that's that. Some interesting things, some random stuff. Do you have a wedding disaster story? Did you ever go to a wedding where maybe things didn't go just right? I mean, the cake didn't have to fall over, but maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody knocked over something, or the flower girl got scared or ran running down the aisle and crying to mama or something. Well, here was a disastrous wedding story, and this is not quite as disastrous as what you will see in Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. But a groom had an ex-girlfriend who was not invited to his wedding to his new girlfriend, soon-to-be bride. The ex-girlfriend who didn't get invited snuck into the church as the bride and groom were exchanging their vows and started smashing dishes and throwing pots and pans around the church kitchen in the basement. The groom's sister heard the noise because in the wedding video they said you could hear stuff being thrown around in the kitchen. The groom's sister dragged her outside and sat on her till the cops came. That's interesting, is it not? Also, in China, we hear stories all the time about trucks being overturned. It was windy this morning. A semi got overturned today. But in China last week, there was a truck, it was a tanker truck, that was carrying glue. 1,500 gallons of glue, in fact. and it turned over on the road. And every gallon ran out and was running all over the road. Now you think about that for a minute. I don't know if it was like Elmer's glue, the white glue, or if it was super glue. But either way, can you imagine if you got hundreds of cars, and you know in China there's hundreds, if not thousands of cars on the roads all the time. Can you imagine all these cars running through this glue, even if it was only a couple 100 feet long, and getting it all over their tires, and they keep on rolling, and it's firming up and lumping, and it's almost like Fred Flintstone's carved out of trees tires on his car. It would just be a horrible mess. And it was. I did not see video. I wish I had, but I did not see any video of that. But it's probably out there if you look for it. Okay, that's the random stuff. Cardinals lost 3 in a row to the Mariners in St. Louis. What a shame. Lose 3 games by a total of 4 runs. But tonight, playing in Pittsburgh, J.J. Weatherholt has, at least 100 of his family and friends in the stadium at Pittsburgh. Cardinals are behind 2-0. They just can't get anything going. In fact, they're no hit for 7 innings. Alex Burleson finally jinks one and gets on. Nothing happens because of that. Nothing happens in the 8th. It's been a bullpen game for the Pirates pitchers, and they've got a no-hitter, or 1-hitter through 8 innings. They're leading 2-0 in the top of the 9th. First batter up. Oh my goodness. Pretty amazing. First batter up, home run. Second batter up, home run. Second batter's J.J. Weatherholt. So there you have it now. It's 2-2. The pitcher is not having much success, although he's their best reliever. Next hit, walk, literally a swinging bunt down the third base line that never moves off of the white chalk line. 2 on, a walk, bases loaded. Then comes a base hit by Jose Fermin. Drives in 2 more. Cardinals are ahead 4-2. And the Cardinals close it out 1-2-3. And they win 4-2. Congratulations to them. And what a night for J.J. Weatherholt with his family and all his friends, an awful lot of them, well over 100, in the stands, because he grew up in Mars, Pennsylvania, which is just about 27 miles from Pittsburgh. JJ, good for you, buddy. Keep it up. Jose Fermin, keep it up. Nathan Church has come on like gangbusters. Everything else is going good. So, go Cardinals. Is it worth putting $10 down on them on the futures on one of your betting platforms to win the World Series? If you got $10 to lose. But then again, it'd be nice to make, what, 300 or 400 probably on that 10. So there you have it. Oh, by the way, speaking of money, just happened to notice that, gold's about $5,000 an ounce. When most of you who are my age were young, for the longest time you couldn't buy gold. Then later, when you could buy gold, it wasn't anywhere near $5,000 an ounce, was it? Just a year ago, it had been incredibly increasing in value a year ago, that it had gone up from 3 or 4 years ago, $425 an ounce, up to over $1,000, about $1,250 a year ago. And now it's $5,000 an ounce. So if you've got, some gold scrapings in the bottom of a jewelry drawer, you might want to see who wants it, because it's worth a lot more than it was some time back. I'll never forget when I was here at WSMI back in the 80s and was mostly doing advertising during a time as a salesperson, then later as sales manager. One of the accounts that I had several in Morrisonville. And one of those accounts was a wonderful guy named Harry Dillabaugh, who had a jewelry store, and it was called the Village Timekeeper. He was a certified horologist, graduated from Quincy University with that degree. And he was a guy who could make clocks, and he could build watches, and he could. That was what a horologist was. But anyway, I was talking to him one day, and he was showing me his workbench. And he showed me where he would resize rings and do different, posting of diamonds and other gems and rings. And there was all this dust, on this velvet cloth on his workbench. And I said, Harry, that looks like gold. And he says, oh, it is. He says, we save that at the end of the day because you just never know. And I thought, Harry, if you were alive today, I would say to you, Harry, you just never know. So there you have it, $5,000 an ounce. And yet the friendship and the fact that you hang out with me is worth more than that. Have yourself a great night, everybody. And we'll do this nightcap thing again next Monday. And I promise we'll have more random stuff and hopefully some more interesting things to talk about as well. Go Cardinals. Good luck, Kyle Dixon. And go Battlehawks. We've still got football there. And take care of yourself. See ya. Oh, and like I say on the radio, I love you. Pass it on.